On September 27, 2024, during the United Nations General Assembly in New York, when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stepped up to deliver his speech, more than half of the diplomats walked out in protest, turning their backs toward him. The message was loud and clear: Israel's continuous bombing of Gaza and Lebanon. But what difference did that walkout really make? Soon after, Israel began attacking Yemen as well. Just focusing on Gaza, over the past year alone, more than 42,000 innocent people have been killed, including women and children, and millions have been displaced. The US, European Union, and the UK have warned Israel multiple times that this war could spiral into something far more dangerous. And a glimpse of that danger was seen on October 1st, 2024, when Iran fired 200 ballistic missiles at Israel from 1,800 kilometers away. By October 2nd, reports stated that Israel had threatened Iran with severe consequences. As the world tries to stop this conflict, Israel seems like an uncontrollable monster, already fighting on 3 out of 5 of its active fronts, surrounded by Arab nations in the Middle East. One wonders, where is this tiny country getting so much power from? Why is it that despite repeated warnings from global superpowers, no one is able to stop Israel? Welcome back to Dreamstrade, as we try to understand the real source of Israel's power. But before that, it's important to look at the current situation. The Israel-Palestine conflict has existed even before both these entities came into existence. The roots of this issue run deep. For more detailed history, check out our video in the description. Currently, Palestinians have been pushed into a narrow strip called Gaza, which is only 360 square kilometers in area, extremely difficult to enter or leave. To one side is the Mediterranean Sea, on another is Egypt, and 2 borders are with Israel. Only essential supplies are allowed in when Israel permits. That's why many in the international community call Gaza the world's largest open-air prison. Gaza is under the control of Hamas, a militant group. Last October, Hamas fired thousands of rockets into Israel, and in retaliation, Israel launched a military campaign that still continues. The real victims of this war are the ordinary people of Gaza, caught in a conflict they never chose. 42,000 people have been killed, many of them children, and thousands have been displaced or injured. Gaza, once a city, now looks like a mountain of rubble. Israel claims these attacks are to eliminate Hamas' militant wing, and it will continue doing so. But common sense suggests, if Gaza had 500,000 people in 2017, how could 42,000 of them, nearly 8.5%, all be militants? The only escape from Israeli attacks is to flee Gaza and reach Lebanon. But that's no easy feat. One must pass through Egypt, cross the Red Sea, enter Jordan, then Syria, and finally reach Lebanon. But Lebanon is dominated by Hezbollah, a powerful Iranian-backed militant and political group that also supports Hamas in Gaza. So who is Hezbollah? Back in the 1980s, during Lebanon's civil war, Israel invaded southern Lebanon. To counter Israel, a resistance group called Hezbollah emerged. They successfully pushed Israel out and have since grown into a military and political power, stronger than Lebanon's army, according to many experts. Since its inception, Hezbollah has posed a major threat to Israel. Skirmishes between the two have become routine. But after last year's attack on Gaza, Hezbollah openly declared its support for Palestinians. That's when Israel faced a new problem. Attacking Gaza was one thing, but now it had to deal with Hezbollah in Lebanon too. To justify direct attacks in Lebanon, experts believe Israel orchestrated a false flag operation. On September 17th and 18, 2024, more than 3,000 pagers and radio sets exploded simultaneously in Hezbollah-controlled areas, an incident detailed in another Dreamstrade video. Hezbollah blamed Israel, retaliating with rocket fire. Israel now had its excuse. From the next day, Israel began airstrikes in South Lebanon, forcing thousands to flee. In this operation, Hezbollah commander Hassan Nasrallah was killed. While countries worldwide condemned this escalation and appealed for peace, Israel intensified its strikes. Talking about humanitarian aid, numerous countries have announced relief efforts for Gaza. For instance, on September 30th, 2024, Reuters reported that the U.S. announced $300 million in aid for Palestinians in Gaza. On March 7, 2024, President Biden announced the construction of a military port to send aid into Gaza. Earlier, on February 27, USAID pledged $53 million in emergency
We see
numerous
assistance.
such announcements. But the question arises, why does Israel continue escalating attacks when most countries are criticizing it? This issue has been raised 3 times in the United Nations Security Council over the past year. But every time, when a ceasefire agreement was proposed, the U.S. used its veto power to block it. Yes, the same U.S. that announced aid for Gaza also blocked ceasefire resolutions. In June 2024, the U.S. itself filed a ceasefire proposal, which was passed only to be vetoed by the U.S. again later. President Biden publicly says war is not the solution, but at the same time, his administration vetoes peace efforts. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, from 2019 to 2023, 69% of Israel's arms imports came from the United States. Not only that, but the U.S. gives Israel $3.8 billion in military aid every year. This support is public knowledge. People say the U.S. both calls for peace and supports Israel's war. That's why the conflict keeps growing and may lead to a disastrous regional war. But why is America doing this? The answer lies in religion and political influence. According to a study by Wheaton College, 35 to 40% of Americans believe in the Bible literally. Many of them also believe that Israel's creation is a biblical prophecy. There's an organization in the U.S. called CUFI, Christians United for Israel, with over 10 million members, including major political figures. This group is Zionist, meaning they support Israel politically and religiously. It's important to understand that Christianity and Judaism are different religions, and Zionism is a political movement. Not every Jew or Christian is a Zionist. This Zionist group influences American politics through a powerful lobbying committee called AIPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It's the most powerful lobbying group in the world, capable of shaping any policy in the U.S. Congress. In Congress, decisions are made through voting. If a group controls the majority of Congress members, it can influence any law or budget, even decisions on war. Surprisingly, lobbying is legal in the U.S., as long as it's transparent and there's no under-the-table money. AIPAC's website clearly states that their mission is to promote pro-Israel policies in the American government. They support candidates who align with Israel. 98% of such candidates win elections, receiving $40 million plus in funding. They not only support pro-Israel politicians, but also target and defeat those who oppose Israel. Their website proudly lists 24 anti-Israel candidates they helped defeat. But things took a darker turn recently. South Africa filed a case at the International Criminal Court, ICC, against Israel for human rights violations in Gaza. The ICC is not under U.S. control. On April 24, 2024, ICC's chief prosecutor Karim Khan received a threatening letter from 12 U.S. senators, warning him not to issue arrest warrants for Netanyahu or Israeli leaders. The letter said, "If you target Israel, we will target you." It threatened sanctions and travel bans on the prosecutor and his family. These 12 senators are also listed on AIPAC's website as funded, pro-Israel politicians. Now comes another twist: Israeli bonds. Governments often sell bonds to raise funds. In August 2023, a representative for Israeli bonds emailed the Ohio State Treasurer, asking if they'd buy $5 million in bonds. Shockingly, within 40 minutes, the purchase was approved, bypassing usual bureaucratic hurdles. After the war began, various U.S. states and municipalities collectively bought at least $1.7 billion in Israeli bonds. All of this shows that U.S. support for Israel is rooted in multiple layers: religious beliefs, lobbying power, political funding, and strategic interests in the Middle East. America has long-standing tensions with Iran. Whether it was 20 years of occupation in Afghanistan or the Iraq War, the U.S. needs a reliable partner in the region, and that role is fulfilled by Israel. Ending the war in the Middle East isn't impossible. Arab nations simply want Palestinians to be given their own state, but Israel refuses the two-state solution at any cost. We hope you like and share this Dream Strayed video. Thank you for your warm comments. See you in the next powerful episode.